Chapter 2. Hunter, you brought a child here and she's human? Wilder questioned as he slid into a large leather chair, placed his hand to his face, and stared in Hunter's direction. The large stone fireplace heated the room and brought sweat to Wilder's face. It was either the room was too warm or he was extremely agitated. Resting his arm on the mantel at the far end of the fireplace and away from Wilder and Devin, Hunter adjusted a figure of an old man sitting by a tree, shook his head, and smiled thinly. No doubt it was bought by Adrian, he thought. His slow response to Wilder proved that he had long passed being a pup and yearling. He raised his head with quiet confidence. Hunter glanced down at Wilder with a raised eyebrow. "What would you have me do?" "I didn't think I should leave a helpless little girl in the woods. I thought Samsaw's word and honor stood for something." Hunter caught a sharp glance at Devin. "But I see it means nothing." "That's enough, Hunter. There are more pressing matters than you falling in love with the first female you've had sex with." Hunter's eyes narrowed, then Wilder remembered Robert sitting next to him, his lips in a tight line and saying nothing, but simmering just the same as a frown line appeared in the middle of his forehead. "I apologize, Robert. I didn't mean." "I accept your apology," Robert said, his voice warm with a cool tone. "Now can we get on with something more important?" Wilder said, circling the room with the movement of his head, and his predatory eyes landing on Hunter. "It seems that there's a murderous gang of werewolves from Bane's pack. The now deceased Bane, I might add," Wilder said, without a hint of humor. It was the first time Hunter had heard Bane was dead, and no doubt at the hands of his father. Hunter took in a long, satisfied breath. That feeling coursed through his body, and finally he could rest and pursue the woman he longed for. "Well, those rogue werewolves have slaughtered a number of humans, and the humans have declared war on our kind and all shifters. But all the shifters aren't responsible for what this band of killers have done," Devin protested. "I've met a few in town and we get along fine. There's Dave, a bear shifter. He's the bouncer at the club where Katy and I hang out." Robert glanced over at Devin, raising a disapproving brow. Since Katy had turned 21 and had gone off to college and was of legal age, Robert was finding it hard to talk to her or offer advice as a big brother. "Just because you've taken to hanging out at that bar in Samsaville and bringing Katy along with you," Robert's voice dropped, "doesn't mean I condone what you're doing or your relationship with my sister," Robert said to Devin in a harsh tone. Robert looked straight ahead, not meeting Devin or Hunter's eyes. He was in a room with 3 werewolves, and he knew their temperament, and although Wilder's mate was a human and the mother of Hunter and Devin, Robert was still considered an outsider. "We're young, and we want to go dancing to let off a little steam and sometimes have a drink. Where am I to take her? To a casino in Lake Tahoe? Or would you prefer I take her on our jet to Las Vegas?" Devin's eyes met Robert's, and Robert knew full well what he was talking about when he mentioned Las Vegas. He didn't want them to run off and get married without telling him. "We don't have time to argue over irrelevant things. There are far-reaching problems concerning the lives of werewolves and humans. These rogue wolves from Bane's pack have killed so many humans in a small village that the humans began killing werewolves they knew and tolerated in their own communities. One example is the Honorable Dr. Redmond." Hunter's ears perked up. Dr. Redmond was Haley's father. Should he tell Wilder? Considering how opposed he had been to bringing Katy to their home, he decided maybe now wouldn't be a good idea. He didn't want to give Wilder one more reason to send Haley away. When the werewolves in the Americas became concerned over the death of a known werewolf doctor, whom the humans knew to be a good shifter, and the humans decided to kill him, the council became concerned for the future of our species. Werewolves as far as Russia attended the meeting. Devin listened, and from the look on his face, he wasn't at all unfamiliar with Samsaw's business. Devin was more familiar than Hunter. It was then Hunter realized how much he had missed, and how disconnected he had become from his family and pack. The council decided that the best thing to do is to track the werewolves down and send them to Russia. And that's why I need to talk to my sons and you, Robert. I informed the council that you have a serum for the werefemales in their pack, which will make them fertile. Hold on, Wilder, you shouldn't have given them hope. I don't know what the side effects are. It takes years before I can tell if there are problems. You gave it to Mina, Wilder insisted, turning to Robert. Robert's mouth opened, and he couldn't get his words out. He stirred in the large leather chair to the right of Wilder, facing Devin. Robert decided to answer Wilder. Mina was desperate to become pregnant, and to become a mother. I think she may have been suicidal. We were willing to take the chance, and besides, we knew that there could be problems with the pups. So far we haven't seen any. It's done. I needed something to give them, to keep the shifters thinking in a positive manner. They were discussing revenge killings, impregnating humans, and stealing their female children. For every werewolf death, kill 2 humans, some were saying. I reminded them that this is something we just don't do. It's against the laws my grandfather laid down. Laws to keep us civilized. What about you killing Bane? Wasn't he one of our kind? Hunter said, locking his gaze with Wilder's and watching his question move from Wilder to Devin, to Robert. Hunter had toyed with the idea of a revenge killing of Bane, but he realized that he should do whatever was necessary to avoid the taking of another human or werewolf's life. His thoughts, his teachings, and his experiences were contradictory. It was the human and werewolf in him that were fighting each other for control of his spirit. Wilder finally answered the question Hunter had asked. It's not the same thing, and if you don't know the difference, Hunter, then you have learned nothing in the time you have been away from us. Hunter's eyes dropped to the floor. His jaw jutted unnaturally as he tightened his teeth. Devin will have to hunt them down with the help of 2 more young werewolves. Once we catch them, they will have to go before the council, and if they are guilty, they will be banished, Wilder said, looking at an impassive Devin. What about me? Hunter said with a raised voice. You've been gone too long, and your mother misses you. I'm a full-grown werewolf. It's time I plan my life. Mother can't do that. She has all those pups to take care of, and Drayton's pup is not a yearling yet. Lysel's brood is wild and all but grown. Pretty soon they will leave and get their own packs. I should have the opportunity to do that as well, he said, pacing around the room with Devin and Wilder watching him, knowing that something had changed him, in what way they had yet to discover. Hunter stopped and pulled a book from the shelf. War and Peace. Maybe now I'll get the chance to read it, he thought. He glanced at it in his hand and pushed it back in the slot with the other books. I have nothing to keep me here. I'm going with Devin. I'm not going to sit around and do nothing, waiting for Mother to accept that I'm grown, and she shouldn't worry about me. I'm a werewolf who needs a mate and a pack. I no longer need a mother. Devin was relieved to hear that Hunter wanted to go with him, because he wasn't excited about leaving Hunter behind to take back what Hunter said he had stolen from him, Katy's heart. Then you tell your mother. I can't take another accusatory glance at me, Wilder said to Hunter. Since when did our mother's eyes bother you? Devin said to Wilder with a snicker. It's not her eyes, we won't get into that, Wilder answered. If that's settled, then we need to discuss what to do about the young girl. She will have to be taken to a hospital. It would help if I knew something about her or her parents, Robert said, throwing a raised eyebrow at Hunter. She's Dr. Redmond's daughter. Hunter had forgotten that he needed to keep that a secret for now. For the very reason that Wilder would flip out over the news. What the fuck, Hunter? There's a bounty on the head of any werewolf found with her, Wilder said, jumping to his feet and stalking around the room with his hand under his chin, rubbing his newly formed beard. Dr. Redmond asked me to take her with me, because he knew he was going to die. I agreed, because that was the only way I could get home. The humans killed Redmond and blamed it on Shifters, a young shifter who looked like you and Devin. They said you kidnapped the child, Wilder said, pausing to look away. She's your responsibility. I have too much on my mind to deal with her. I have to find a way to get you out of this mess. Wilder tucked his hands in his jeans, with his back to everyone. He pushed the curtains away, looking out the window. How old is this child? You said something about 15. I think she could be 16. Wilder turned, shaking his head at Hunter. We need to know her exact age. She said something about a birthday soon. So she could be 17, Hunter added. Is she or isn't she? Wilder questioned. She could be older, he paused. Or younger? Hunter answered. Well, that's just fine. Wilder turned, facing Hunter. Does she know we're werewolves? No. I don't think so. She was delirious when I carried her here. So what is she doing with a werewolf like Dr. Redmond? Wilder asked, looking willfully at Hunter. Devin leaned in, curious to hear Hunter's answer, and Robert too preoccupied with his thoughts to care. Dr. Redmond confided in me that Haley had been adopted by them because they couldn't have a child, Hunter said. This sounds suspicious, Wilder said, pacing the length of the room. Why would they put a large reward out for her? And there's a bounty for the werewolf who has her. Do you see now, Hunter, that bringing her here has created a new set of problems for us? Then I'll leave. I'll move into an apartment in Samseville. Robert can take her to our hospital and say that she's his sister. Will she go along with it once she becomes conscious? Robert asked. If I ask her, she'll do it, Hunter said. She'll be conscious soon, and the quicker you do that, the faster we can get her to a hospital and get her treatment. It's not just pneumonia I'm worried about. You let her wear that thin dress. You don't know her, I couldn't make her do anything. Devin jumped up and marched around and stood in front of Hunter. Still don't know anything about women. And he winked, smiled, and walked to the door. You have to be firm with females, then make love to them every night to soften them up. That's enough, Devin, Wilder said. Hunter's steely eyes shot to Devin, who walked out of the room quickly. Let's go see Haley and talk to her, Hunter said to Robert. Are we finished, Father? For now. You have to get some rest. You look like hell, Wilder said to Hunter. Yes, I know. I'd better shower and shave before I go to the medical center. That's a good idea, Robert said. I don't want her getting worse from some germ she could catch from you. He turned promptly and left the library and walked out, heading to the hospital out back. Wilder walked to Hunter and held him tight and whispered in his ear, I'm glad you're home, Hunter. Hunter looked in his father's youthful, handsome face. He would look like him at full maturity. Hunter was almost the image of Wilder now, especially since he had been baptized by the fires of hell in Alaska. His look was far away. He thought all the time. He was sure of himself, and he didn't avoid his father's gaze. When Hunter passed Devin, he was standing at the foot of the stairs, whispering in Katy's ear. His nose on her neck, his hand noticeably on her behind. She had been smiling until she saw Hunter. He passed them going up the stairs and didn't look at them. His heart sank, but he tried to hold it together. He would show her that he didn't care. She wasn't going to get to him like he was some kind of lovesick puppy. After Hunter showered, shaved, and dressed in a pair of jeans and a new flannel shirt belonging to his father, he trotted to the stairs. When was it going to get warm? He needed a little sun after months of being frozen, because his skin had taken on a pale, sickly look. That pale look hid his handsomely sculpted, rugged face, with his fascinating blue eyes and strong features. Hunter needed that feeling of summer. Spring only made him yearn for Katy and for mating. As Hunter bounded down the stairs, Devin and Katy, still close together, whispering and laughing, turned to see him coming in their direction, his eyes now a clear blue. His youthful face had taken on the handsome ruggedness of the life he had experienced. In a few seconds, Katy saw the difference between the two werewolves. Hunter wore it in his eyes, the eyes and face of a man who had seen much and done a lot more. It was the face of a man that had made love to more than one woman, or had made love to a she-wolf, the kind of reckless, wild, abandoned fucking that animals and some men engaged in. Yet, Hunter wanted and desired Katy above all others. He now wore the face of a confident man, not the terrified teenage werewolf who had never had a sexual experience, the one she had first met, and the one she had first introduced to sex. The one she was now wishing would take her, and forget that she was fragile. Forget everything, and place her on all fours, and take her the way Devin was doing. That was the look she gave Hunter when she wet her lips with her tongue, and then bit her lips in the shadow of Devin standing near her. Katy was fickle and indecisive, and she wanted now what she couldn't have. She wanted Hunter.